This girl is a 5-year-old range mare that's not even halter broke. She was brought to me the day previously with a 2-year-old stud colt and 2 foals, one of which was hers. So pretty much everyone was yelling at her while I was working her in the round pen here. In the very beginning here, I'm really looking at being able to establish direction and work on solely inside turns. So when she turns to the inside, I try to make it as easy as possible for her. And when she wants to turn to the outside and put her butt to me, then I'll get after her and move her off pretty aggressively. You'll see me do that quite a few times in this video. This mare really wants to turn to the outside and go back on a right circle. So right here as we're going around on the left, whenever I step ahead of her to suggest changing directions, she almost always suggests turning to the outside. And it takes quite a few repetitions for her to consider maybe she should do something else. I put a little too much pressure on her right there. And coincidentally, that was also the side that her foal was on, so she made a half-hearted attempt to push into my panel. She didn't really truly try to jump, just put a lot of pressure on it. I'm really trying to play with her feet here and suggest that she gives me 2 eyes. She took a while to catch on to that as well, but once again, this mare is not halter broke, and she's never been worked with in this manner to my knowledge. So all of this is new stuff for her. She's not trying to be mean or bad in any way, she just doesn't know anything. A true blank slate. She sure has some moves too. That was a pretty nice little rollback there. She pretty quickly gets where she's not trying to answer her foal every time he calls out. He's extremely vocal here because he's not truly weaned yet, and this was actually the first time that he'd really been separated from her. So all in all, it ended up being a good experience for him to have to figure out how to cope while still being able to see her. This day actually ended up being weaning for him anyway. Her foal isn't alone either. There's another horse through the fence, one of the buddies that he came with. So he's not by himself. I take the pressure off of her when she gives me 2 eyes like that. Then I go right back into asking her to turn to her left, to go back onto a right circle. This is the trouble spot. She had a really hard time with this concept. She wanted to put me on her left side really bad. She's getting a lot more consistent with being able to give me 2 eyes. And once again, I'm really playing with her feet here. Really trying to help her through picking the right response. At this point, I'm not trying to push her or rush her. I'm just messing around, trying to show her what I'm looking for without being super aggressive about it. And remembering to give her release when she does give me 2 eyes. There she finally came through. So I make it really chill. I'm not pushing on her hard unless she turns to the outside like she just tried right there. Right here is important to note because she actually stops and gives me two eyes while I'm on her right side. That's kind of a breakthrough for her right there. So I let her rest for a while, and then we went back to work. She's getting a lot slower through those turns to the right to go back onto a left-handed circle. Instead of absolutely rushing through it, she's thinking a little bit more. I'm trying to be as black and white as possible with what I'm looking for here. When she turns her butt to me, I'm pretty quick to correct her, pretty aggressive, and I take her back the direction we were going before. I'm playing with her feet a little bit more here, trying to help her see what I'm looking for. She is not very sensitive to being asked to disengage. I don't think she offered to disengage for me at all during this session. She wanted to step her fronts around really nice, but that was about it. So that's something that we'll have to work on as she progresses. That's a really important thing that she needs to have in her toolbox. See how quick she was to turn back to the left circle, where she prefers me to be on her left side. I do quite a bit of approach and retreat here when she gives me two eyes. I'm also letting her breathe a little bit. She's still pretty happy to put me on that left side right there. An awful lot of repetition here. She decided to try her luck with another outside turn, so I got after her again and worked her around the round pen a couple times. Just to see how she would respond, I came at her a little more aggressively, asking her to change directions, and she just immediately figured on going to the outside. I most often ask her to change directions on the far side of the round pen for a couple different reasons. One is it's easier to view what both of us are doing, how I'm acting, how she's responding, and it's also the opposite side of the round pen from where her foal and the other horses are. So it's where she's least likely to want to be, and therefore where I would like to allow her to rest. She really thought about staying right there so I could be on her right side, but then she changed directions. She ended up feeling a little too pressured right here and thought that she needed to run through me. I immediately corrected her. I don't want her to think that she can blow by me like that. It's extremely dangerous for me, and not a great habit for a horse to have. So I set her back in the direction we were going initially, and I move her around a couple times. She's still pretty happy to turn to the outside, so I correct her for that too. Once again, she tried turning around right there at the gate, right underneath where the camera is. I noticed on more than one occasion when she was corrected for turning to the outside, like right there, she shook her head a couple times. I'm interested to see what she means by that. That response was way nicer than a lot of the ones shown in this video. She's finally starting to get somewhere with that. After that little breakthrough, I just went to the center of the round pen and stayed stationary and let her trickle back down to a stop. When I gave to her right there, she turned around and put me back on her left side though, so I went back to change her back to a right circle. She very easily could have followed through and turned to the right there, but she didn't. She stayed with me on her right side. So we just rest and hang out right here for quite a while. This was what I was looking for this entire time. Total elapsed time was probably about 30 minutes. I'm very interested to see how this little mare progresses in her training. She seems like she can be a pretty cool one. As always, thanks for watching.